I opened the front door, and there it was. Bright red, cease operations, fire hazard. Notice slapped right across my garage, and across the street, Deborah Lang, HOA queen herself, standing there filming it like she'd just saved the neighborhood. Thing is, that garage out there, it's not just a place where I mess around with wood. It's the only reason I'm still standing. Well, sitting, technically. But you get me. 4 years back, I was a different guy. I worked in a metal shop, machining, welding, fixing things with my hands. Loved it. Started right out of high school, stuck with it for damn near 20 years. Best part of the job? End of the shift. I'd stand there looking at something solid that I'd built. Couldn't beat that feeling. Then one afternoon, regular Tuesday, nothing special, I'm driving home, minding my business. Out of nowhere, this guy runs a red light at 40-something miles an hour. Next thing I know, there's metal crunching, glass flying, airbags exploding. The whole world flips sideways. I woke up 2 days later in a hospital bed. Couldn't feel my legs. Could barely move my arms at first. Doctors came in all serious. Said the impact fractured my spine, L2 and L3. The words they used were permanent impairment, which is a real fancy way of saying, you're not walking again, buddy. I won't sugarcoat it. It wrecked me. When they sent me home in a chair, I shut down. Sat in the living room most days just staring out at the yard. Angela, my wife, she tried everything. Cooking my favorite meals, putting on movies we loved, playing dumb games to get me to smile. I didn't care. Couldn't care. You lose your legs, you lose a hell of a lot more than walking. You lose pride, identity. You lose that thing inside that says, I can take care of myself. I can build things. I'm a man who makes stuff happen. I'd worked with my hands my whole life. Without that, I felt useless, broken. Couple months later, Angela pulls this old wooden crate out of the closet. Inside were my granddad's woodworking tools, chisels, planes, clamps, half rusted but still solid. She puts it next to me and says, I'm not saying you gotta do anything with these, but you might want to try. For you, not for me. I told her to take them back. Wasn't interested. She just smiled, kissed my forehead, and left the box sitting there. Wouldn't take no for an answer. It sat there for a week, maybe longer. Then one afternoon, I was alone in the house, and something, I don't know what, pushed me to open that box. I ran my hands over those tools. The wood handles were smooth from use, smelled like dust and linseed oil. I wheeled myself out to the garage, pulled down a warped old plank I'd been meaning to toss, clamped it to the bench, picked up a chisel. I still remember the sound, that first skrrrk as it shaved off a strip of wood, tiny curl of oak falling to the floor. For the first time in months, I felt something click inside me. A good click. Like maybe I wasn't all gone after all. Next thing I know, I'm out there every day. At first, I could only work for 10 minutes before my back screamed at me. But I kept going. 10 turned into 20. Then an hour. Angela started noticing, said, Your color's better. You look more like you. She wasn't wrong. Pretty soon I was building stuff. Boxes, cutting boards, little toys for our nieces and nephews. Posted a few pics online, and people started asking to buy them. Angela, bless her, set me up with an Etsy store. Next thing I knew, I was getting orders from all over the damn country. Word of mouth grew. Folks wanted custom pieces, hand-carved signs, keepsake boxes, even furniture. That garage, I transformed it. Got the benches lowered for my chair. Installed proper lighting, dust collection, ventilation, certified the electrical. Angela called the fire inspector herself to get us a sign-off, passed with flying colors. Now that shop pays the mortgage. It covers Angela's night classes. She's training to be a nurse practitioner. It keeps me sane, keeps me proud, keeps me whole. You can't put a price on that. And to Deborah Lang and her HOA clipboard crew, they see it as a damn fire hazard. Yeah, sure, let's see about that. Anyway, things were good, better than good. And then Deborah Lang moved in. New president of the HOA. Retired fire inspector, real sharp haircut, sharper attitude. Day one, she went door to door with a damn clipboard, introducing herself like she was running for governor of the block. You'll be seeing a few improvements soon, she told me with this tight little smile. Didn't think much of it at the time. Lot of new HOA. Presidents come in swinging, trying to make a name. Fine, let her have her fun. But then a month later, I'm out in the garage working on this big jewelry box commission, curly maple, beautiful piece. Angela comes out with her phone in hand, this weird look on her face. You seen this? She says. Shows me the HOA community page, post from Deborah herself. A reminder that unauthorized commercial activities in residential garages are prohibited under section blah 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 of the HOA guidelines. We've had several concerns about dust and fire risks from woodworking shops. Inspections will begin next week to ensure compliance. Didn't take a genius to figure out who that was aimed at. Mine was the only woodworking shop in the whole damn neighborhood. I just laughed it off. Thought, fine, let 'em come inspect. I'd passed a real inspection already. City fire marshal, signed off, no issues. But then 3 days later, she shows up in my driveway, clipboard in hand, accompanied by Victor Hauser, one of her little lapdogs from the HOA board. Real estate guy, slick hair, slicker smile. I was out front adjusting the sprinklers. She walks right up. No hello, no nothing. Mr. Morales, we've received multiple complaints about your garage operation, she says. There's concern about fire hazards and noise disturbing the community. I blink at her. Complaints? From who? She just smiles. We don't disclose names to protect residents' privacy. Classic, invisible complainers. Then she starts in. We'll need to conduct an immediate inspection of your garage to verify compliance. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I know damn well they can't just barge into my garage without permission or a court order. I tell her straight, you're not setting foot in my garage. I've already got full fire certification, passed with no issues. That's when she pulls out this bright yellow violation notice, already filled out. Notice of violation, unauthorized commercial operation, potential fire hazard, HOA review, pending fines. I take it, look at it. It's all legalese nonsense, no specifics, no basis, just a warning and a big fat threat. She gives me this look, real smug. Well, Mr. Morales, if you're confident in your compliance, I'm sure you won't mind us following up. We take community safety very seriously. Then she turns on her heel and marches off with Victor trailing behind her. I just stood there staring at that notice, heart pounding. Not because I was scared of her damn piece of paper. I knew my garage was safe. But because I could see exactly what this was, the first shot across the bow. This wasn't about safety, this was about shutting me down. And buddy, they had no idea who they just picked a fight with. At first, I figured it was just noise. I mean, HOAs love their little power trips, right? I thought, give it a week. She'll move on to grass height or mailbox colors or something. I was wrong. Way wrong. Next morning, Angela shows me an email from the HOA, formal as hell. Notice of Community Safety Review. As part of our ongoing effort to maintain a safe and harmonious environment, HOA board members will be conducting visual assessments of garages suspected of unauthorized commercial activity. Visual assessments? What the hell did that even mean? Like they were going to start peeking through my damn windows? And then they did. That afternoon, I'm in the garage running the sander on a maple slab, headphones on. Angela comes flying in. Deborah's outside, she says, and she's taking pictures. I roll out front. Sure enough, there's Deborah standing on the sidewalk across the street, phone in hand, just click, click, click like some wannabe paparazzi. No shame about it either. When she sees me, she waves. Big grin, like she's winning. I called over, calm as I could. You want pictures? You could have just asked. I'd have shown you my inspection report. She smiles tighter. We're simply documenting potential hazards. You'll hear from us soon. Then off she goes, practically skipping down the sidewalk. I was fuming. Angela had to pull me back inside before I said something I'd regret. And sure enough, 2 days later, boom, another letter. Certified this time, fancy envelope. HOA letterhead like they think they're the damn FBI. Second notice of violation, failure to comply with HOA community standards, continuing fire hazard investigation, pending fine, $1,000. I just about choked. $1,000 for what? Using my own garage in my own house with a setup that's safer than half the kitchens in this neighborhood? Angela sat me down. We're not paying that, she said. You've got paperwork. They're bluffing. I knew she was right, but that's when the real crap started. Next thing I know, HOA starts circulating a little community safety advisory flyer. Printed on pink paper, real nice touch. Residents are reminded that unauthorized commercial operations pose significant risks to home and neighborhood safety. Please report any suspected activity. You could practically hear Deborah's voice in it. And guess whose garage photo they used? Slightly blurred, but very recognizable? Yeah, mine. Suddenly, neighbors I'd been friendly with for years started acting weird. Guy 2 doors down who used to wave every morning won't make eye contact now. Another neighbor stopped bringing her kid over to play with my niece. Then one afternoon, I catch Victor Hauser and some other HOA guy standing out front, not on the sidewalk this time, on my driveway measuring tape in hand. I roll out. What the hell are you doing on my property? Victor gets this real smooth smile. Just checking setback distances for code compliance. Standard procedure. Bullshit. My setback was grandfathered in. They knew it. They were fishing, or worse, trying to find any excuse to pile on fines. Angela called the city inspector's office the next day just to be safe. They hadn't issued any new code checks. HOA was flying solo on this one. The next letter came that Friday. Now they were citing me for visual blight. Get this. Excessive storage of commercial materials visible from the street. Because apparently a few neatly stacked boards under a covered rack behind my fence were now an eyesore. Fine doubled $2,000. By now it was clear, Deborah wasn't trying to review safety. She was building a case, a fake one, and worse, she was isolating us from our own damn neighborhood. Friends stopped dropping by. Angela overheard two moms whispering at the park about that dangerous garage. I tell you, that got to me. More than the money. I'd busted my ass to turn that garage into a lifeline, and now they were painting me like some kind of menace. One night, I caught Angela crying in the kitchen. "We fought so hard to build this life again," she said, "and now this woman's trying to take it away." That broke something loose in me. I'd tried to play nice, tried to be reasonable, but this wasn't about safety. This was about control, about making an example out of me, and hell if I was going to let her win. I'll be honest, part of me wanted to roll straight into a fight, lawyer up, start swinging. But Angela, she talked me down, said, "Let's at least try the civil route first, we've got nothing to hide." She was right, and deep down I figured, if I show them I'm reasonable, if I show the paperwork, maybe they'll back off. I mean, even HOA people gotta see logic at some point, right? So I called Jenna Walsh, local attorney, mom from our kids' school, sharp as hell, but a real decent person. Told her the whole story. She looked over my fire inspection report, the building permits, my garage's electrical sign-offs. After about 20 minutes, she said, "Legally, you're solid. They've got no leg to stand on, but HOA boards don't always care about legal. They care about who blinks first." Still, she agreed with Angela. Best to offer a peaceful solution first. So we drafted a formal response letter. Polite, respectful, attached copies of my inspection reports, city permits, photos of my neatly maintained garage, offered to host a walkthrough with any certified city official, not HOA volunteers, to demonstrate compliance. I printed it out, walked it down to the HOA mailbox myself. Hand-delivered. Thought, there, let's be grown-ups about this. Week later, no response. Then Angela spots a new post on the HOA site. Ongoing fire safety concerns under review. HOA board will continue pursuing necessary actions to protect residents. No mention of my letter, no mention of our offer, nothing. I waited another week, finally called Deborah directly, figured maybe I could at least get her to talk, human to human. She actually picked up, sounded smug as hell. "Well, Mr. Morales, I did receive your letter, but the board feels that independent documents aren't sufficient in this case. The community's concerns remain valid." I asked point blank, "Have you shown this to the city? Have you contacted the fire marshal?" Dead silence. Then, "That won't be necessary. The HOA retains the right to enforce community standards beyond city minimums." There it was, right out in the open. Didn't matter what the law said. In her mind, the HOA's word was gospel. I kept my voice even. "Deborah, I'm giving you one more chance. Bring in the city inspector. If they find a problem, I'll shut down tomorrow. If they don't, you back off." She laughed. "Oh, Mr. Morales, you're welcome to pursue whatever avenues you feel necessary, but understand, continued operation will result in escalating penalties and potentially legal action." Click, hung up on me. Angela was in tears after I told her. "I'm sorry," she said. "I really thought being reasonable would work." I kissed her hand. "It's not on you. We tried. Now it's on them." But here's the kicker. 2 days later, I get another certified letter. Final notice before enforcement action. $5,000 in cumulative fines now due. Additional penalties to follow. That's when Jenna called me. "They're doubling down," she said. "You gave them every chance to be reasonable. Now we play hardball." I looked out at my garage. Lights off that day, tools sitting cold on the benches. Angela caught me staring. Said, "If they shut you down, you'll lose more than money. You'll lose you." I nodded. "I know, that's why they're not going to." Because the truth was, I had an ace in the hole I hadn't played yet. And the moment they sent that final notice, they gave me every excuse to use it. You know how sometimes life hands you a break when you least expect it? That happened about a week after I got the final notice. I was sitting out back, just trying to clear my head, couldn't even look at the garage that day. Angela came out with 2 beers, rare treat for us lately, and said, "Tom's coming by later. He wants to talk about the HOA stuff." Tom Becker, great guy, lived 2 streets over, retired engineer, tinkers with old radios and drones in his garage, real sharp, one of the few neighbors who hadn't backed away through all this. Later that night, Tom shows up carrying a beat-up binder, sits down, says, "You know, this isn't the first time they've tried to pull this crap." Turns out, Tom's been keeping HOA records for years. All the newsletters, meeting minutes, votes, even internal emails he'd gotten as part of an old committee. He flips the binder open. "Look at this," he says. Inside is a printed copy of the HOA bylaws from 5 years ago, the last officially voted update. And right there, plain as day, under use of residential garages, garage-based hobby and light commercial activities are permitted, provided that the resident maintains compliance with local fire, safety, and zoning codes, and does not create unreasonable noise or disruption to the community. Tom grins. "They added that after I fought them over my radio shop, got it voted through fair and square." I sat there, stunned. "So this means..." He nods. "It means your certified inspection, your permits, you're fully in compliance. They have no legal right to ban your workshop." But that wasn't even the best part. Tom leans in, lowers his voice. "I've been hearing whispers. Deborah's pushing this whole fire hazard thing because she's trying to get a new HOA-sponsored insurance deal through her buddy's company. The more risks she can document, the higher the premiums, and her friend gets a cut." I blinked. "Are you serious?" Dead serious. Tom hands me a printed email chain, leaked by someone on the board. In it, Deborah is literally coaching Victor Hauser to document as many garage-based commercial operations as possible to strengthen our justification for revised insurance coverage. And guess who they named as their prime example? Yup, me. I swear my blood went ice cold. This wasn't about safety. This wasn't even about HOA pride anymore. It was a scam, a straight-up money grab, and they were using me as their poster boy. I looked at Angela. She'd gone pale. "They're trying to ruin us to line their pockets," she whispered. Tom wasn't done. He pulls out one more sheet, meeting notes from the session where Deborah pushed the new garage restriction through. Not only was it done without proper member vote, it was rammed through under emergency safety provisions using doctored complaint numbers. Fake complaints. Fake process. Fake justification. I sat back, heart pounding. For the first time in weeks, I actually smiled. Angela looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "They just gave us everything we need." Because here's the thing, you mess with a guy's money, that's one thing. You mess with his name, his pride, his marriage. But when you start faking documents and pulling scams, that's where the law actually gives a damn. I looked at Tom and said, "You up for helping me burn this whole damn scam to the ground?" He grinned. "Buddy, I've been waiting for someone to ask." That night, after Tom left, I couldn't sleep. Neither could Angela. We lay there in the dark, just staring at the ceiling. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that red final notice letter, and Deborah out there smirking while taking her little pictures. Finally, around 3 in the morning, Angela rolled over and said, "We're not moving. I don't care what it takes." And that was it. That was the moment. I sat up, grabbed my phone, and texted Jenna, "We're going all in. I've got proof." Next morning, Jenna comes by with her laptop and a big-ass smile. "You got 'em now," she says, "but we've got to be smart about this." So here's what we worked out. The plan had 3 parts. Step 1, paper trail. Jenna drafted a formal legal letter to the HOA, called it a demand for immediate cessation of fraudulent enforcement actions. Sounds fancy, but in plain English, back the hell off, or we sue your pants off. Attached everything, the inspection reports, the bylaws Tom provided, and most importantly, evidence that Deborah had falsified complaints and misrepresented votes. We gave them 7 days to respond in writing. Step 2, community exposure. Tom had a ton of old HOA contacts, folks who'd fought with the board before but kept their heads down. We called them, quietly, started a little email chain, shared what we'd found, not angry rants, just the facts. Couple neighbors who'd iced us out actually called to apologize once they saw the real documents. Turns out Deborah had been feeding everyone straight lies. Fire marshal complaints, multiple neighbor reports, none of it true. One woman down the street even said, "She told me your shop was running industrial saws all night long. I felt awful when I saw your inspection report." Yeah, real classy. Step 3, media and legal hammer. This was Jenna's move. She knew a local reporter, Mark Devine, who loved stories about HOA abuse. We met with him at a diner, laid out everything, gave him copies of the documents, the doctored meeting notes, the insurance scam angle. Mark was licking his chops, said, "This is gold. These HOA stories always blow up." Meanwhile, Jenna also filed an official complaint with the state's Department of Consumer Affairs. HOA boards have to follow strict rules about financial conflicts and fair enforcement. Deborah's little insurance scheme? Illegal 6 ways from Sunday. That complaint meant the board couldn't quietly bury this now. State regulators were officially watching, and for good measure, we prepared a lawsuit to file if they didn't back off. Personal liability named on Deborah and Victor, not just the HOA. Because once you start faking documents, that's not protected by board immunity. By the end of the week, we had the whole machine ready. Paper trail, community allies, media spotlight, state regulators, lawsuit drafted. Now we just had to pull the trigger. And buddy, I couldn't wait. Angela looked at me that night when we were printing out the final packets. "You really think this will work?" I smiled. First real smile in weeks. They wanted a fight. Now they're going to get one. The day we pulled the trigger was a Tuesday. Funny how you remember little details like that. Angela baked muffins that morning. She always does that when she's nervous, said it calms her down. Jenna showed up around 10 with her laptop, Tom brought a thermos of coffee, and we all gathered in my kitchen like we were planning a damn bank heist. Jenna clicked her mouse, looked at me and said, "You ready to ruin Deborah's day?" Oh, buddy, you don't even know. First, we emailed the HOA board our formal demand package, everything neatly organized, every lie documented. Jenna CC'd the State Consumer Affairs Office on it so the board couldn't pretend they hadn't seen the complaint. Next, we sent a copy to Mark Devine at the local paper. He emailed back 10 minutes later, running the story tomorrow. Brace yourself. Then Tom got on the phone, called 5 neighbors we'd already flipped, told them it was go time. Within an hour, word was out, not just about the bogus fines and fake complaints, but about Deborah's whole insurance scam. That turns out a lot of folks had been quietly pissed off about HOA nonsense for years. They just needed a spark to push back. And the best part? Jenna made sure to send a personal certified letter to Deborah and Victor, not just as board members, but in their personal names. Because fraud, that's not something you hide behind a HOA shield for. We figured it'd take a few days to hit. We were wrong. That afternoon, Mark's story went live online. Headline: Local HOA president accused of fraud, targeting disabled homeowner. Angela and I sat there refreshing the page every 5 minutes. By dinner, it had over 3,000 shares. And that's when the calls started. First from a neighbor we barely knew. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. If I'd known what she was doing, I'd never have supported that rule." Then another. Then another. By that night, the neighborhood Facebook group, normally full of lawn tips and bake sale invites, had turned into an anti-HOA war zone. People were posting screenshots of Deborah's emails demanding her resignation. Next morning, Victor showed up at my door, eyes like saucers. "Look, Ethan," he said, "this has gotten out of hand. Maybe we can settle this quietly." I leaned in, calm as can be. "Victor, your name's already in a state complaint. The only thing you should be doing quietly right now is hiring a lawyer." He practically ran down my driveway. Then the cherry on top. 2 days later, an official letter from the State Consumer Affairs Office landed in Deborah's mailbox. Angela saw her open it out front, said the color drained from her face like someone had flipped a switch. That weekend, the HOA called an emergency board meeting. Tom went, called me right after. "You won't believe it," he said. "She's resigning. They're trying to spin it as a personal decision, but everyone knows why." And get this, Victor resigned too. Whole damn board was in shambles, but we weren't done. Jenna had already filed our lawsuit, not just to stop the fines, but to demand damages. We didn't want money. We wanted a public record that Deborah and Victor couldn't erase. Because the next time they try this crap in another neighborhood, there'd be a nice fat legal paper trail waiting for them. The best part? Mark ran a follow-up story. HOA board resigns amid fraud allegations. Disabled craftsman cleared of all fines. Picture of me and Angela in front of the garage. Big headline, big grin on my face. And buddy, that garage light, it's been on ever since. Now, you'd think Deborah resigning would have been the end of it. But nah. When someone spends months dragging your name through the mud, you don't just let them slink off without a little sunlight. See, the lawsuit Jenna filed wasn't just about clearing my fines. It was about getting the truth on record. We pushed for a public apology as part of the settlement. Jenna said, "Most people will fight that tooth and nail, but after what we've got on them, they'll crawl to sign it." And sure enough, 3 weeks later, Deborah's lawyer reached out. They wanted to settle, quietly, no court, no press. I told Jenna, no deal, I want a written statement, and it's going to the entire HOA membership. And buddy, when you've got 'em by the paper trail, they fold fast. In the end, here's what we got. Official board letter mailed to every resident. The HOA acknowledges that recent enforcement actions were not consistent with community bylaws or proper procedures. We apologize to Mr. Morales and his family for the distress caused, and all associated fines and notices are hereby rescinded. But that wasn't even the best part. Mark Devine ran one more story, headline, front and center. HOA president apologizes to disabled veteran craftsman after fraud scandal. Disabled veteran. Wasn't technically true, I wasn't military, but between the accident and the chair, the phrasing stuck. I didn't correct him. You know why? Because every neighbor who'd given us side-eye for weeks now showed up at my door with a plate of cookies or an awkward handshake. Even folks I thought I'd lost, neighbors I'd known for years, came around. One guy said, "I'm ashamed I believed any of it, man. You built something real in that garage." Another one brought his kid over, said his son wanted to see where the cool wooden boxes were made. Word spread beyond the neighborhood, too. I had people messaging me from other HOAs asking how we'd done it. Turns out a lot of folks were sick of bullies with clipboards. And the kicker? Deborah's little insurance buddy, yeah, his contract got torpedoed. HOA board voted it down after a wave of public backlash. Whole scheme, dead in the water. Last I heard, Deborah sold her house and moved 2 towns over. Victor? Quiet as a mouse. You couldn't pay him to show his face at a board meeting now. And me? I got my garage back. Better than that, I got my name back. Angela hugged me the night the last letter went out. "You fought for this," she said. I looked at her, tears in her eyes, and said, "Number, we fought for this, and we damn well won." You know what's funny? After all that noise, the meetings, the letters, the articles, life went back to normal a lot faster than I expected. A couple weeks after the dust settled, I was back in the garage sanding down a walnut tabletop when Angela popped her head in. "You've got company," she said, smiling. In rolls Tom, carrying a 6-pack and a manila envelope. "Figured you might want the official copy," he said, handing me a printout of the HOA's apology letter. "Frame it," he added, grinning. Conversation starter. We laughed. I didn't frame it. I stuck it in the back of a drawer. But knowing it was there, yeah, that meant something. The neighborhood calmed down, too. Folks who'd been nervous started waving again. Couple even stopped by to ask about ordering pieces. And the garage, still humming. New commissions came in. A rocking chair for a young couple, a chessboard for a retired teacher. Angela even joked that maybe all the drama had been good for business. One afternoon, I was sitting out front with a coffee watching the sunset when one of the newer neighbors walked up. Young guy, maybe late 20s. He nodded toward the garage. "You really built all that in there?" he asked. "Sure did," I said. He looked thoughtful for a second. "My dad used to build furniture," he said. "Always wanted to learn." I smiled. "Door's always open," I told him. "Pull up a stool sometime." And that's the part they'll never get. Folks like Deborah. You can find people. You can scare them. You can play power games. But what you can't do is take away the thing a person's built with their own 2 hands. Especially when that thing saved their life. Last week, Angela came into the garage while I was finishing a batch of carved boxes. She leaned against the bench, arms crossed, watching me work. Finally, she said, "You know, this place looks exactly like it used to, but it feels different now." "How so?" I asked. She smiled. "Feels like it's yours again." I set the chisel down, looked around at the shop, the old tools, the fresh wood, the worn bench tops, and you know what? She was right. It was mine again, and this time it was staying that way.